let's get playtime? Wait, that's not our catchphrase. That's not Darkwing's catchphrase. That's kind of out of character, but that's kind of where we are today. Welcome to the St Canard Files, a Darkwing Duck podcast. I'm your host, Mike Russo, and
Stan Lunn.
How's it going, Stan?
Not too bad. How are you today, Mike?
I'm fine. Are you ready to talk about issue 2 of Dynamite Darkwing?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Alrighty. So before we get there, we have some merchandise coming out. Actually, this week. When this one drops, it'll be coming out, I think, tomorrow. What is it, Stan?
Disney Afternoon Adventures Volume 2, which I believe is subtitled Flight of the Skyraker.
Yes, this is the Tailspin cover, and Flight of the Skyraker was the first 2 issues of the original Disney Comics Tailspin line. That's what that is. So this is our long-awaited Volume 2, which should have come out last summer, but for various reasons it did not. And as far as we know, we don't know the Darkwing story, do we?
We don't know what it is, but we know he will be in it somewhere.
Yeah. 2 of the fluffy stories are in Volume 3. I don't know why all 3 of them aren't, but they're only advertising the first 2. But we don't know what's in Volume 1. Volume 2. Volume 3 comes out this summer. But when we find out, we'll discuss it on the podcast. We just have no idea what it is. I mean, clearly something from the 90s, but let's see what it is. So if you haven't ordered that or picked it up yet, go for it. They're not that expensive, and let's keep that line going. Get some cool old stuff printed. So if there's not anything else we can talk about tonight, why don't we just jump into issue 2 of Dynamite? What do you think?
Yeah, though I want to mention one thing we didn't cover about issue 1.
What's that?
So you may recall that they had the theme song in it that was not, it didn't have the right lyrics to it. And
Yeah.
I actually found out after we did our review that is because for some reason they did not have the licensing to print the lyrics to the actual theme song.
So where exactly is that coming from? What's the source on this?
So I heard about it on the Sleepless in St. Canard podcast, and they got their information from Amanda Dybert's live stream.
Okay, so right from the source.
Right.
That's interesting. Disney has this weird thing with its theme songs. Do you notice the original theme songs for Gummy Bears, DuckTales, Rescue Rangers, and Tailspin from the actual shows were never put on CD, only album versions?
Huh.
There's some weird licensing problem with that. That could be why the Disney theme songs don't show up on like albums or best of TV soundtracks. There might be a licensing thing.
That's a little weird.
They were able to sing a little bit of the theme song on DuckTales 2017, though.
Yeah.
But not in the comics. I guess it's not a huge deal, but I guess that explains it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So speaking of issue 1, my wife was able to pick up for me 2 more variant covers, so I'm stopping at 4. She managed to get me the Megavolt one and the VHS cover one that is taken from the old Darkwing VHS tapes, which is, I have a couple of issues with the art on that cover, but I think it's cool. It has the price tag and the Be Kind Rewind tag, and it looks beaten up like a VHS box. It's a cool cover.
Yeah, those 2 were 2 of my favorite ones that I got. The only one left for issue 1 I want to get is the Big Country Comics one.
Which one is that?
It's got Darkwing like jumping with the city behind him. It's drawn by Dan Parent, who does a lot of Archie comic stuff.
Did you ever get the action figure one?
No.
No, okay. If I was to ever get any other ones, that would be the only other one I'd get. But I'm not going to go.
I was going to say they're doing action figure variants for, I think, every issue. Like issue 2 has a launch pad variant, and issue 3 is going to have a Morgana one.
That's interesting. I mean, the Morgana one's weird because they don't have a Morgana action figure, but the Darkwing cover is still pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so for issue 2, I got covers A and B. Nothing crazy. Darkwing getting covered in the rubber duckies and Darkwing on top of Quacker Jack's car. I have opinions on the rubber duckies cover. Not very positive. I don't like how he's drawn. I really, really don't.
Did they draw his beak all wrong?
Kinda. I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again. It looks like a guy in a Darkwing Duck costume. Or more like Howard the Duck. His hands are way too detailed, like a guy in a costume. The beak is very like it's not right. And like his feet are very pointed, like pointed web feet.
Yeah.
The concept is cool. The idea is neat. It's just I don't like how he's drawn. The cover B is better on top of Quacker Jack's car as Quacker Jack's driving away. But there's nothing about the car or what's going on that screams Quacker Jack. The art is competent. The art is competent, but
it's like he stole some random guy's car.
Yeah, and like he's in the car driving and there's money coming out of bags, but you'd think there'd be like toys all over the place or like Banana Brain. It just, I don't know. It doesn't scream Quacker Jack. Nothing about it does. I don't know. Am I being nitpicky at this point?
Nah.
So anyway, so why don't we get started with this issue? What is it titled?
Honestly, I'm not sure.
That's why I'm asking.
Like I didn't see a title in here. That's actually kind of why I was flipping through, earlier trying to look for, but I don't think there is a title for this issue unless Grand Opening's the title.
I don't think so. This issue doesn't have a title.
Weird.
That's really weird. That's so slipshod, man. How do you forget to give an issue a title?
I don't know.
Unless it is Grand Opening, but come on. That's not a title.
No.
All right, so it doesn't have a title. We'll just keep calling it issue 2, I guess.
Yep.
I mean, it can't be worse than the Duck Flight Returns.
True.
All right, so anyway, what does this untitled issue, how does it start?
Well, we start in front of a reference. Actually, we start in front of 2 references. We start in front of QB Toy Store, which is definitely an homage to KB Toys.
I don't know what I miss more, KB or Toys R Us.
Honestly, I found more cool things at Toys R Us, but I used to work for KB, so I think I have to lean towards KB.
Hey, I loved it when KB would put like their Star Wars figures on sale for like $1.99. You could stock up on those.
Oh yeah.
I miss those days. What's the second reference?
So the second reference, and this is actually something we didn't touch upon in the first issue, but one of Duck Talk's members, Pirate Steven, has appeared so far in both issue 1 and issue 2.
Ah, interesting. Synergy there.
Yeah.
That's got to be Pirate Steve, right?
It's definitely him. And I have to say, if anyone who's involved in this comic is listening, where's the St Canard Files cameos?
Oh, maybe we're not nice enough to the comic.
Possibly.
So anyway, so what's going on? Besides our references, we see a few familiar characters, of course.
Yep. Basically, Drake has decided that after the whole Megavolt thing, Goslin needs some normal kid stuff, so he's brought her to the toy store.
Okay. Right off the bat, I will say the art is better this issue. I still have problems with it, but I think it's more consistently good. It's harder to spot the reused model sheet stuff, although a lot of it does pop up. If you're familiar enough with the model sheet stuff, you do see it. But there's still a lot of characters talking with no open mouths. That's a thing still.
Yep.
And you could tell when the drawings are from something and slightly altered, or something brand new. The consistency is still a little bit wacky, but I will say it is better. Thoughts?
Yeah, you're right about that.
Because there's a lot of very strong Goslin drawings.
Yeah. And there's quite a few of them that I do recognize from other sources.
We'll mention them when we spot them. Nothing right away, but they do pop up.
Right. Also, before we go any further, we should probably remember to tell people that there is a spoiler warning in effect. If you have not read issue 2, you might want to read that before listening to us.
Well, yeah, of course. We go through the whole story. We're not going to stop midway through.
Yeah.
All right, so Goslin, in the first of a few, I think, out-of-character moments, although you're easier on this bit than I am, Goslin sees a doll. It's Quackalina. And even Launchpad's like, I didn't know you were into Princesses, Goz. Yeah, I can't picture Goslin into princess dolls. Even though she gives an explanation that Quackalina is like she saved every duck in her entire pond, and then has this big deal about having an overprotective father, so it's very relatable. I just don't see Goslin playing with dolls.
Well, as I stated in our opening talk, that I do feel it's not too much of a stretch, since it sounds like she's like a kick butt princess, kind of like Vanellope Van Schweetz from Wreck-It Ralph,
Yeah.
or Rapunzel from Tangled. And I could see Goslin being into a princess that actually gets her hands dirty and fights.
Yeah, I guess back when Darkwing Duck was a show, we didn't have princess characters like that. So here it seems out of character based on that Goslin. Although I guess Goslin now would probably be a little bit more different.
Right.
So I guess with that in mind, it's a little bit easier to swallow. But my first reaction was, really? But, it's not as bad as some of the out of character stuff that's coming later.
You mean like the glowing red eyes that Drake suddenly has now?
Yeah, why is that?
I don't know. It makes me think that he's a Terminator in disguise.
I mean, if you want to do extreme eye reactions, you keep the pupils black, but you make like different color irises. That's how you do extreme eye reactions. You don't just make them tiny and red.
Yeah.
That just makes them look like they're about to fire lasers at something.
Yep.
But anyway, Darkwing's big reaction is because there's a whole display of Darkwing Duck dolls that all say, "Let's get dangerous."
Yeah.
And so Darkwing, of course, Drake says he should get a cut of this. But then he picks up one of the dolls, and what does it say?
It says, "Let's get playtime."
Playtime? That's not how my catchphrase goes.
It's how mine goes.
And yeah, there's Quacker Jack. We see him. We see Banana Brain. Any thought that this has anything to do with the old comics is eradicated now that Quacker Jack's back and the usual Banana Brain.
Yeah. Though to play devil's advocate, we did see the original Banana Brain get repaired.
Yeah, it's true. But it looks like a new Banana Brain. It doesn't look like it's been torn apart. But anyway, Drake's eyes are still red and scary. So then we get this big teddy bear, this giant. I don't know. Is it like just a giant like Winnie the Pooh kind of teddy bear that grabs Goslin?
I thought it was the same teddy bear from that episode that had.
Oh, the one from Days of Blunder? No, different teddy. That one was a much smaller. Couldn't possibly have picked up Goslin. So Drake looks around for a place to change. He goes, "Where's a phone booth when you need one?" Somebody says, "A what?" And Drake goes, "Oh, forget it. No one's going to understand that reference."
I got that reference.
I think most people still would. It's not that obscure yet. But what does he see that he can use to change?
He saw a photo booth, and I'm going to say right now, up until now, the pages that we've just been discussing appeared in a preview. I thought that his whole thing coming towards the end was going to be because he changed in the photo booth and left the photos behind, and someone discovered his identity.
That would be a great story beat.
I know that would have made so much more sense as to why what he does later would happen.
Yeah, we'll get there. We get two I am the terrors in this bit. The first one is I am the pizza toppings that stick to the lid of the delivery box of evil. The next one is I am the bad photo someone else tags you in on social media. I am Darkwing Duck. Those are fine.
And I look fantastic.
Okay, so Darkwing gets attacked by lots and lots of rubber duckies.
All going whack, 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 whack.
Whack, whack, whack. That is a very DuckTales, Carl Barks kind of thing. He makes a comment that rubber ducks are so offensive as if he'd never seen them before. Weren't there rubber ducks in Smarter Than a Speeding Bullet that Steelbeak was using to melt?
Think so. Also, out of curiosity, what's that blue stuff he's surrounded by?
That's soap bubbles.
Okay.
But that's not explained well.
No, it's not.
Like, all of a sudden, he's just up to his armpits in soap bubbles that we don't see before. And then, violently, he throws a grappling hook at the giant teddy bear, basically grapples himself into the bear, and, like, smashes himself into the bear's body and pops out his back like the xenomorph, like the alien.
You know what's weird though? Like, I would have probably it's not drawn very well because he enters through the back and then pops back out through the back. I would have expected he'd come out the other side.
Yeah, like out of its chest, like the facehugger does.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's what it's referencing, but whatever.
Also, this line is pretty dark. Pardon me, I need to borrow your innards.
Ugh, okay. So he grabs a piece of fluff and shoots it out of the gas gun because Gosalyn's flying through the air and then she lands on it. Launchpad's disappeared. Speaking of disappear, my other problem with this fight is that I'm sorry you barely see Quackerjack. Like, all the stuff we just explained about the rubber ducks and the phone booth and the bear, Quackerjack isn't in any of these panels. You see him the first time when he shows up, and then he disappears for 3 pages.
Until he shows up with a surprise punch.
That's one of the sound effects. We don't have as many of them in this issue, but they do show up.
Yeah.
So Quackerjack hits Darkwing right in the face with a boxing glove, and it says, surprise punch. And then he disappears again for 2 more pages.
The Launchpad reappears.
Yeah, he pops up very briefly as they're fighting toy soldiers and more rubber ducks, and they're helping Darkwing, and just things are happening.
Yeah.
And like the ducks are bouncing off Gosalyn's head. He's smacking them with tennis rackets, and we have a Chucky reference. This scary looking little ducky doll says, "Hi, my name's Tilly. Wanna play?"
Yep.
That's definitely Chucky, right? That's Child's Play.
I'm pretty sure. Also, this is the one that Darkwing Rubber Ducky was in. The top panel where he's grabbing the racket.
I see it. So some of the ducks you have to look very close are based after other ducks. There's a Darkwing Rubber Ducky, there's a Scrooge, and there's Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and there's a Donald.
Yep.
Some are hidden really deeply, you have to look, and some are really obvious.
Yeah.
Darkwing smacks.
I was gonna say the 2 hardest ones to find are the Darkwing and the Louie or Dewey, the blue one.
It's Dewey, but that's because he's covered by like a whack text, so you can't really see him. Darkwing smacks the doll with a tennis racket. A stuffed dog attacks him with its tail.
Yeah.
I don't know. So stuff keeps happening.
Quacker Jack's back.
Oh yeah, he gets smacked away and disappears again. So Gosalyn wants to stay and help. Darkwing tells her to go home, like she'd ever do that. Darkwing actually, in a thought bubble, says, "I wonder where Launchpad went. I got to do everything myself." And then we get this really weird run of dialogue where Darkwing goes, "Okay, Quackerjack, it's just you and me. Okay, you and me and a few hundred toys. You've turned evil." And then Banana Brain pops up and Quackerjack goes, "And me. And then Darkwing goes, okay, it's just you and me, a few hundred toys you've turned evil, and Mr. Banana Brain. Oh, what am I doing? Let's get on with it.
I can see Darkwing saying that.
Yeah, a little wordy, but the Banana Brain bit is cute. So, Quacker Jack tosses a tsunami of rubber duckies.
Yeah.
How does he do that?
I'm not entirely sure. I'm also thinking though that Darkwing's whole thing about playtime being over and its playtime being a contradiction, DW never would have thought of that.
Also, playtime's over isn't his catchphrase. It's playtime. He said it once in Whipple While You Work, but that doesn't mean it's a catchphrase.
No.
And why would Darkwing even think that's a second catchphrase?
I do not know.
And also, another quibble with the art. Banana Brain does not have angry eyes.
No, he doesn't.
Unless he's possessed by Paddywhack.
Right. I do kind of like, though, the way the tidal wave looks. Like, I'm not sure if it was intentional or not. I'd like to think it is because of the Scrooge Ducky on the same page, but it makes me think of that tidal wave of Moneybags from DuckTales.
Life is like a hurricane. Here
it does, doesn't
Darkwing. Yeah. That's why the Scrooge Ducky is there. Absolutely why the Scrooge Ducky is there. Because the Moneybag tidal wave is one of the most iconic DuckTales shots. I mean, it's in the opening.
Yeah.
So Darkwing gets buried in rubber duckies, which shouldn't really hurt him. They're rubber duckies.
Yeah.
Then Goslin comes in because, of course, she didn't go home on a surfboard. And she loses control, and the face she makes is right out of model sheet stuff.
Definitely.
That crazed face with the bug eyes.
Yeah.
So she falls off the surfboard. And she falls into the duckies, and there's a Donald Duck one and the Huey. And then Darkwing jumps after her, and he thinks she's dead, but she just fell into rubber duckies.
And I will say, where he's cradling her in the arms and the face she makes right after, I'm pretty sure those are both from the secret origins of Darkwing Duck.
She's, you know what? In the close-up, she's making a total Sun Wu face. That's a Sun Wu face right there. With the droopy pigtails, that's a Sun Wu face. Sorry. That's where it's from.
I thought that was the one where she had drank too much cuckoo cola and was dying.
That's the episode you're referring. That's the secret origins of Darkwing Duck. That one was done by Sun Wu.
Okay, so it is the same thing.
It's one of the weirdest sequences Sun Wu ever animated. So yeah, Darkwing and Goslin talk a bit. I'm going to ground you for a century. Goslin says, I was just trying to help. At this point, the two of them should have been through this so many times. This shouldn't even be a conversation anymore.
Also, did you notice the Goslin in that panel is the same pose that was on page 2?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. That's what I mean about the faces. It's competent. The art is good, but you start to notice the faces are all the same, after a while. Anyway, Launchpad couldn't help because it turns out he's tied up with jump ropes. And then
I do kind of like that exchange there. I don't want help. Then why do you have Launchpad? A little help, please. I ask myself that question often.
It's funny enough. I think there's more chuckles in this issue than there was in issue 1, for sure.
Yeah.
So Darkwing grabs the grappling hook, saves Launchpad, hands him Goslin, says, take her home, call me when you get home. And Goslin hints again that she wants the cell phone, and Darkwing says, on the landline. And then Goslin says, who even has a landline anymore? That's embarrassing. I do, but just for emergencies.
I was going to say, I feel attacked by Goslin here because I still have a landline, and it's not just for emergency.
It's good to have one, even if you have a cell phone, because it's always going to be there in case of an emergency. We still have one. We never use it, but we got one. So Darkwing fights. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, we do get a Let's Get Dangerous here with a really well-drawn Darkwing.
Yeah, he does look pretty well drawn. And I can't place where that's from, so good job. So he's fighting Quacker Jack again. He kicks open the door to the store, and all the rubber duckies pile out of the store with Quacker Jack in tow. The rubber duckies drop into a little lake, and that's it. Quacker Jack is defeated very easily, not much of a defeat. Although the drawing of Darkwing pulling out the little inflatable life preserver thing, that's model sheet art.
Oh, yeah. Just the gas gun has been replaced by the little inflatable thing.
Yep, and he drops it on Quacker Jack. It's both the life preserver and full body cuffs.
Yep.
And Quacker Jack
Mr.
is dragged to jail.
Also, Mr. Banana Brain can't swim.
Aw, poor Banana Brain. And he's brought to jail. They actually, one of the police officers is one of the ones on the show. The guy with the mustache.
Yep.
Yeah, he was on the show. That guy in particular. So good, they did their homework, at least on the art.
Though I'm pretty sure that's, again, one of the same poses we've seen him in on the show.
Or Darkwing? Or the police officer, because both are.
The police officer.
Then we get a Herb cameo. What's the Herb cameo?
Oh, he's happy about the rubber duckies and is apparently the president of St. Canard's Bubble Bath Appreciation Society.
Okay. Hey, whatever floats your boat, Herb, literally.
Yeah.
Because he shows him his cell phone as like a picture of him in a bubble bath with a ducky. And Darkwing says... What did he say?
I was going to say, I love his line here. Keep the rubber ducks, Herb. Keep anything you want. Just never show me that photo again.
So Darkwing goes home and says he's hanging up his cloak. Because he's quitting...
We see that, DW.
Because he's quitting crime fighting? What?
Yeah.
Over a fight with rubber duckies where nobody gets hurt and nothing seriously bad happens? That's why he gives up? I mean...
Yeah, it's completely out of character.
I mean, there are episodes where he does give up crime fighting. In Duck Blind, he goes blind. I get it. That's when you give up crime fighting. In Days of Blunder, he's having a frequent crisis of confidence. And Quackerjack, as a psychiatrist, convinces him to give it up. I get it. In Toys R Us, he almost dies from the inflatable balloon clown. And that's when he decides to give up crime fighting. I get it. This makes no sense.
Even the Boom comics, he gave up crime fighting after Negaduck literally burst through his wall.
This is a run-of-the-mill battle. Nobody gets hurt. It's just rubber duckies. His life is never in danger. There is no reason for him to give up crime fighting. It's issue 2. Why is this happening? And even Gosling goes, what? Because of today? So at least they kind of lampshade it, but that doesn't make it acceptable.
Right.
And yeah, I don't love it. And Drake's like, I'm going to stay home and we'll do puzzles together.
I will say that puzzle is awfully familiar looking.
Yeah, it is. They should make more Darkwing puzzles.
Yes, they should.
They should make all sorts of... There's so many puzzles. Like, my wife has, 50,000 Little Mermaid puzzles, and I have no Darkwing puzzles. That's a crime.
I have 3 Darkwing puzzles, I think, or 2. I think there's, 6 or 7 in existence.
But I'm assuming they're from 30 years ago, and a 5-year-old could do them.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I want a Darkwing puzzle. I want something... how about, a Disney afternoon puzzle with all the characters on it?
Or how about this, Mike? A photo mosaic image of Darkwing that uses images from the show.
I mean, even if it was a D23 Shop Disney exclusive, I don't care. I would buy it. The best I've got is that was a Shop Disney D23 exclusive from a couple of years ago. The Fantastic Worlds map that had all the locations, not just the most popular stuff. It had Cape Suzette, Duckburg, St Canard, the Muppet Theater, the Happiness Hotel from The Great Muppet Caper. It had all this great stuff, and I haven't put it together yet, but I know when I do, I'm going to want to frame it. It's just one of those kind of puzzles.
Didn't they make that image into a poster as well?
Did they?
I think so.
You know what should be a puzzle? Have you seen from about a decade ago the Silvani art of all the Disney Afternoon characters together?
Watching the television?
No, that was a Mike Perazza one. This is James Silvani, all the Disney Afternoon characters from Gummy Bears all the way to Bonkers.
Yes, I have seen that.
I would love a print of that, but apparently it was super limited and it's very hard to get.
Yeah.
I would love that, though.
Anyway, back to the comic.
I was just going to say that, yeah. So it comes up that Goslin asks, how have you been supporting us all these years?
Well, I think all of us thought that he probably was getting a stipend from Shush or something, but yeah, this is really stupid.
Yeah, I mean, the stipend makes sense, and I consider that canon. It was mentioned in Boom way back when.
Yeah.
But I consider that canon. I consider all the Boom stuff canon. And in a way, this is never going to be. So Drake says, way back in the 1990s, so how old is Drake? Like, doesn't make sense. I invested wisely in, you tell the world, Stan.
Quacky babies.
Obviously, unless you've been living under a rock for the 30 years, he's referencing Beanie Babies.
I do like Goslin's line here. My life is being funded by stuffed animals?
But, like, how old was he in the 1990s when he started investing in these things?
I don't know. Like, this is clearly set in modern times, so...
Yeah, with cell phones and stuff, but, like, don't reference the 1990s if you want this set in the 2020s.
Right. Not only that, that's going to make this so dated. You know, like, it's already dated. It's going to be even worse, like 10, 15 years from now.
It's okay for Darkwing Duck to be dated, though. I don't mind it. Like, it's fine. I'd rather not. It's like when I see modern Simpsons episodes and they're using, you know, cell phones and tablets. It just doesn't look right to see Homer Simpson on a cell phone. Like, it's just so weird. Like, I think they should either go whole hog into the modern times or set it back when it was back in the 90s. Don't make references to the 90s like that, because how old are these characters?
Yeah.
Anyway, so Drake mentions there were a few other ventures they tried, which included door-to-door doorknobs. And you see Mayor Alson as their one customer, but the way they're dressed makes it look super old-timey.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. It's a really bad joke that's not really funny.
There's another joke here that I actually literally just noticed now that probably will fly over many people's heads.
What is that?
Did you see the painting in the background on the third from last panel?
No. What is it?
It's a painting of Twin Peaks.
Oh, okay.
Nice little tongue-in-cheek Easter egg, I think.
Yeah, why not? And so this is my least favorite part of the whole thing. So Drake says, all of that is behind us now. It's just suburban family bliss from here on out. And then immediately, Launchpad leaves. He just says, I guess I'll be going then. And Drake says, what's wrong? And then Launchpad says, if you're not going to be a superhero anymore, then I guess I'm going to have to find someone else to sidekick. And he leaves.
With a launch slam.
Oh, God. And then Goslin's like, what now? And then Drake's like, now I guess on to a new adventure? His sidekick and best friend just left and he doesn't care? Like,
yeah.
I can imagine Launchpad feeling so neglected, A, that fast, and B, to the extent that he would just walk out of there. Like, that's not Launchpad. Like, I don't know. It doesn't sit right. And I know they're trying to prime everybody for issue 3 where Morgana comes back. Spoiler alert, obviously. But it's so out of character for Launchpad and for Drake. Just he wouldn't give up his superhero persona that fast. Launchpad would not feel that neglected that fast. He wouldn't just leave everybody. And Drake's okay with that? Did I miss something? To quote Timon.
Yeah. It's completely out of character.
It really, really is. It's frustrating because, like the first issue, I see good things here. But they gotta work out the bugs. But I've been telling myself, this is clearly not meant for us as much as it's meant for little kids. The dialogue is simple. The stories are simple. This is for kids.
Yeah.
But to me, it makes no sense because who are Darkwing Duck fans, specifically of this version of Darkwing Duck? Who are the fans of this? Is it kids? No.
Like, not only that, but there's plenty of times something can be made that can be for kids and for adults. Just because you want kids to read it doesn't mean that it has to not be inclusive to the adults as well.
And that's where Boom and Joe Books succeeded. They were able to do it for both.
Yep.
But like, they wouldn't do like 20 quadzillion different covers for collectors if little kids were the only target audience for this.
Right. Though I will say this one has significantly less covers than number 1.
Well, number 1 was number 1. You know, I get it. But I have a theory too that having a million different covers forces collectors to buy more than one issue, and it makes the sales look better.
Yeah.
Think about it. Come on. How many issues would you have bought of issue 1 if there was just one cover?
Just
right?
1 issue, probably, maybe 2 if I wanted to get it signed.
There are only 2 issues so far, and I have 6 copies between the 2 of them. That's how you inflate sales and make it look like the comic's doing well, by making a billion different issues that people are gonna get suckered into buying. I'm really wondering just how well this would be selling if it didn't have inflated cover counts.
We'll see how well this issue does, because I think, according to our friend Tim, issue number 1 cracked the top 50 in comic sales for that week.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Nothing ever sells better as time goes on, especially with comics. It's always diminishing returns.
Yeah.
So let's hope it just continues to do well, even if it doesn't sell as good as the first one. I mean, people get into things out of curiosity, you know. People don't stick around for things. You have to really keep your audience.
Right.
I mean, we're suckers for Darkwing. We're going to buy all of these, but
yeah,
not everybody will. But it's getting positive reviews. People like it. Because it's simple and it's not challenging. You're not going to overthink it. It's not overly dramatic. It's fun Darkwing stuff. But it's problems for someone like me who is way too analytical. I am way, way too nitpicky, and that's how I am, though. And the art is getting better, but I want to see less model sheet stuff.
Yeah.
I think Quackerjack could have been used a little bit better and more of the issue. And I think some of the out of character stuff could have been given a second pass. I should say. I think I gave issue 1 a 2.5.
Yeah.
I think that's where I'm going to stick with this one. It's a little bit better, but it's not great. So I'm going to withdraw a higher. I'm going to withhold a higher score until they really impress me. So far, they haven't. This is really more of the same, if not just a tiny bit better. How about you?
So similar to what you said, that I thought the story improved slightly. It's still not, any means of a winner of a story, but there were more moments where it felt more like Darkwing. The jokes, there were actual better jokes. I actually did find myself laughing a couple times. The art has definitely started to improve. There's still a lot of model sheet stuff, but it is becoming a bit less reliant on model sheets.
I do want to see, I'll throw it out there because I didn't mention it. I'm not trying to drag you off topic. I do want to see more to Darkwing and Gosling's relationship than, Dad, can I do that? No, you can't. Like,
Yeah.
that's all these 2 issues have been. Hey, Dad, can I do this? No, you can't. Like, that was like the first episode of Darkwing Duck. Then that kind of stopped. So hopefully they kind of back off on that. I'm sorry, continue.
So the sound effects, although there are still some dumb sound effect bubbles being done, there didn't seem to be as many of them this time.
Yeah.
Also, something that you didn't mention in your store, but they are still talking with their mouths closed, which is irritating.
I know. If you're going off model sheets and the mouth is closed and you don't feel confident about changing the artwork, that's what's going to happen.
Right. And of course the 2 big out of character moments definitely hurt this, but I am actually giving it a better score than I did issue 1, because I'm pretty sure issue 1 I actually gave a lower score than you. I'm pretty sure I gave that
You did. So what are you giving it now?
I'm going to give it, I think, the same score that you did, a 2.5.
Okay. I mean,
there's definitely
room for.
Yeah, there's definitely room for improvement. And it's still not a lost cause.
No.
Now, one other thing I wanted to point out, not necessarily Darkwing related, but it's in this issue, and it is a bit of news not about Darkwing though, is they are going to be collecting the Gargoyles Marvel comic series in an omnibus in April.
Well, that's good for people who love gargoyles. I just never really, I appreciate it and respect it, but I've never really been into the show.
Apparently, it's also going to be available signed by Greg Weisman, so I may have to try and get that version.
Cool. All right, then. Have we exhausted issue 2 discussion?
I do believe we have.
All right, so we know next issue we got Morgana. Is this going to also be the issue with Bushroot?
I think so.
Okay. All right. So that should be. Let's see how that plays out. I know, isn't Moleculo Macabre on one of the covers of issue 3?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so that gives me hope to have something interesting in it.
He's on the cover. That doesn't mean he'll be in the issue, though.
Oh yeah, that would be a big tease, though. Let's hope he's in there, because it'd be neat to have a little something extra. We haven't seen him at all since the episodes he was in, so that's a shout out we haven't gotten in a while.
Right.
Because they never touched on Morgana's family in the Boom comics.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't think they had.
No, so that's something we can let's see where I'll be interested in seeing where they go with Morgana, because she's a character that if you use her too much, you upset the dynamic of the show.
Which is something they discovered in Boom.
Yes, the show is about, as Tad Stones would say, a father, a daughter, and a launch pad. Not a father, a daughter, a launch pad, and a witch. The problem is you put Morgana in it, and then you upset the balance, and then you don't know what to do with her. So it will be interesting to see if she's in it for one issue and then disappears, or if she sticks around and becomes an ongoing cast member.
Yeah.
I like her on the show, but I couldn't imagine her in a lot of episodes without the show feeling different,
Right.
Using Morgana is always a slippery tightrope.
It's like having her show up once in a while to go on a date with Darkwing or get roped into an adventure is one thing, but when you have her around constantly, it's like so many of Darkwing's problems can just be solved with magic.
And the dynamic is different. He's a different character around Morgana.
Yeah.
And then Launchpad becomes a fourth wheel.
Yeah.
We can't have that. Anyway, so that's it for tonight. We are the St Canard Files, a Darkwing Duck podcast. You can find us on all podcast apps and YouTube, provided you still want to listen to us. If, considering we've been negative about the comic to an extent, please continue listening. It's coming from a place of love. We don't hate it. We just want to see it improve. So, Stan, do you have any shout-outs, or do you want to plug something from your YouTube channel?
Well, I'll plug my 2 YouTube channels again, DMC Jedi Man, DMC Jedi Man Gaming. I finally started Shredder's Revenge on the gaming channel, and boy, oh boy, is that game awesome.
Oh, cool. I want to play it sometime.
It's really fun. And it's a very, it's a loving tribute to the old animated series.
Something I want to revisit. My fingers are crossed it holds up, but I don't think it's going to. But I definitely want to check it out again. It's been years since I've seen it. I was obsessed with it when it was new.
First 4 to 5 seasons, I think, hold up pretty well. After that, it gets spotty. And of course, when you get to the Red Sky stuff, it's...
Well, I remember season 3, which was the season I really watched the most. The 65-episode season, I remember that being super hit and miss. I remember that being a rough one. I have most of the seasons on DVD. I don't think it's streaming anywhere, is it?
I'm not sure. I have the complete series on DVD myself.
I have it up to like season 6 or 7 on DVD, but honestly, that's all I'd want to watch anyway. Okay, well, this is not a Ninja Turtle podcast. It's a Darkwing Duck podcast, and I think we're done. So until next week, guys, not sure what we're reviewing. It might be a Darkwing comic story from Disney Adventures. It might be another DuckTales episode. I don't know. We're not recording these in order anymore, so I have no idea. Your guess is as good as mine, but it'll be something duck-related. So until then, everybody, stay dangerous and watch out for rubber duckies.
Yep, stay dangerous, everyone.
Good night, guys.